For our children, our young ones who are joining with us, let me share that gospel story once again. The story, told again from our Spark Story Bible, printed by the Spark Horse Press, is called Doubting Thomas. Do you see those characters there? Who is the one doubting? The disciples were hiding in a house that night that Jesus rose from the dead. They were afraid. Bam! They locked all the doors, and yet Jesus came and stood by them. Peace be with you, Jesus said. The disciples looked up in surprise. Can you show me a surprised face? The disciples were surprised. Jesus showed them his hands and his side so that they would know it was him. The disciples were very, very happy. Do you have a happy face to show me? Again, Jesus said to them, peace be with you. God has sent me to you. Now it's your turn to go tell the rest of the world about me. Jesus breathed on them in a special way. He said, with this breath, I will always be in your hearts, even when I am in heaven. You now have the power to do the things I've asked you to do. Thomas was the only disciple not there that night. When he got back, the others excitedly told him about Jesus' visit. You see how excited they are? But what is Thomas feeling? I don't believe you, Thomas said. I'll believe when I can touch Jesus' wounds. A week later, Thomas and the disciples were in the same house. Jesus again came and stood with them. Peace be with you, he said to them. Thomas, Jesus commanded, come here. Give me your hands. Put your finger on the wounds in my hands. Put your hand by the wound in my side. Do not doubt anymore. It is time for you to believe. See that wound in Jesus' hand that Thomas is reaching out to touch? Thomas's eyes popped. My Lord and my God, he exclaimed. Jesus answered him, you believe because I am here with you and you've seen me. Think of those who have not seen me and yet believe in me anyway. You should believe even when you cannot see it yourself. The words that are spoken, dear Lord, are mine. May the message that is heard be thine. Amen. You know, our gospel story in the Spark Story Bible called Thomas, the Doubting Thomas. I like to call him the Thomas of faith, the Thomas who believed. You see, I see something new in Thomas this week as we are all living through this novel coronavirus, as we have separated out into essential workers and non-essential workers, those who stay at home to save lives, and those who go out in the world, risking their health possibly to save lives and keep our world going. There's a new saying I've seen this past week on social media reminding us that we are not all in the same boat. We like to say with coronavirus, we're all in the same boat. We're not. But we are all in the same storm. We are all experiencing this, and each one of us experience this in a different way. For some of us, it is a time of isolation. For some of us, it is a time of a lot more family time than you ever expected. For some, it is a time of fear as they go out and as they work without the correct, proper protective equipment. For each one of us, our boat's a little different, but we are all in this storm together. And so it was with Jesus' first disciples following his crucifixion and his death. We know that after he was crucified, they huddled together in that upper room, afraid to go out. And it was the women, Mary Magdalene and others, who had the courage to step out, to see what was out there in that world, to go and take care of Jesus, to do the work that needs to be done. The courage to be the essential workers out there. And they were greeted with the risen Lord. And even with that, even after being, they each took different boats. Perhaps Thomas was also an essential worker. Maybe Thomas was the one in that household who was designated to go out and get our everyday needs. I know in my house, it's our husband, Anthony, who goes out and puts on the masks that I'm slowly making. He puts on some gloves. He tries to protect himself and be careful as he runs our weekly errands. Perhaps that's what Thomas was doing. He wasn't trying to avoid the storm. He was going through it in his own way. And because he was going through this storm in his own boat, he needed Jesus's resurrection to appear to him in his own unique way. For Thomas, it was to have Jesus come yet again right before him so he could touch him. And in fact, for Thomas, it only took seeing him. He didn't need to touch. But Jesus encouraged him to do so because there is something special when we can touch. Like Thomas and the disciples, we are all in this storm together. And yet we take our own boats. And the thing is, Jesus meets each one of us where we are. Jesus met Mary Magdalene at the garden tomb. Jesus met those disciples in the upper room. Jesus met disciples on the road to Emmaus, and Jesus met Thomas, once again inviting him to touch him. No matter where we are in this storm, no matter the way we move through it, Jesus comes to us, offering us peace in the midst of our fears, offering us peace and reminding us that new life does come. We are each in our own boats, but we are never alone. Amen.